Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 44 and the season 1 finale of the Fan Experience podcast. Thank you for everyone's support in watching the show day in and day out. It's meant the world to us, and we have had so much fun. Taping season 1, and we can't wait to come back in January of 2021 and with season 2 and see what we have in store for you at that time. I am your host, Mike Kados, and alongside me is my co-host, Rick Molina. Rick, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, Mike. Who could have thought, man? Middle of July, we come up with this concept for the Fan Experience podcast, 44 episodes later, 44 great guests later, subscribers to our YouTube page, and we're here now at the season finale, December 17th. After a snowstorm here in the tri-state area and getting snowed in, we're here. So thank you to everybody who's watched, who's supported us, and we look forward to more great things to come in season 2. But we got a show to do tonight, Mike. So let's take it away. We got Chargers and Raiders on tonight.
Before we dive into anything, just want a quick little clip here.
Thanks. Yes, my 43rd birthday. Thank you, Mike.
Rick?
Appreciate that. Oh, what a catch! Touchdown, Raiders! Wow. Anyway, yes.
Happy birthday!
20, you, my friend.
21 years young.
21 years young. I'm still in my prime. I got a long ways to go.
There we go. Now you can
it's also
when we go next year.
So a little nugget to that. It's also my mom's birthday today. We have the same birthday today. So happy birthday, Mom. Love you very much.
Birthday, Mom.
And also want to give a shout out to my cousin Jay out there in Houston, Texas, who's watching the show for the first time. New subscriber. Jay, enjoy the show tonight, buddy.
Enjoy, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
All right. So
what a catch.
So Super Mario is quarterbacking for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, it's 2020. What else could you say?
Wow. Yeah.
What else could you say? Who was that? Waller, right?
Yeah, that was Waller. Yeah,
he's a beast. But yeah, Derek Carr, gets pulls his groin, and now Marcus Mariota is his backup, and he is in the game. And the Raiders just took a lead over the Chargers. So it should be a fun game to watch. Obviously, the Chargers are well out of it, but they are my adopted team, and with Herbert, calling the plays over there, and Keenan Allen. I got Keenan Allen going right now in the semifinals of the fantasy football playoffs. So let's see. He's going to be on snap count, but let's see what happens. So that's what's going on right now. And Rick, you want to?
Yeah, this is a big game for the Raiders. They're trying to stay in the playoff hunt right now. They're in the 9th seed in the AFC. There are 2 games behind the Colts for the 6th seed. So if they can get a win tonight against the Chargers and the Colts lose, and the Colts are playing Houston at home, so, interested to see how that plays out. But if, the Raiders are still in the hunt right there, but that's a big injury for Carr. If he can't find a way to make it back on the field, Mariota is going to have to take his game to another level. He flamed out in Tennessee. Now he's here as a backup for the Raiders. This is an opportunity for him, man. It's an opportunity for him to take advantage. 3 big games coming down the stretch. If he can sort of, rally this team, he just threw a touchdown bomb over here. So if he can rally this team and keep them afloat, that would be a big accomplishment for the Raiders. So let's face it, they got a good team. They got a lot of good young players. They're close. They're missing a couple of pieces, but they're close to being an elite team in the AFC West. Obviously, they're not going to dethrone the Chiefs yet, but they're close to being a playoff team, and they need these 3 wins.
Yeah, I mean, they were very close in sweeping them this year. So they have the pieces. Obviously, we don't know what the extent of Derek Carr's injury is going to be, but he did go to the locker room right away. So that's never a good sign. I think he legitimately had a little bit more than cramps.
Yes. Again, that's
not
still
like
our friend Lamar Jackson. That's still a big story in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. But you mentioned the Colts and the Texans. I think the Colts. Should gain a wild card spot in this playoff format that we got. The Colts. I mean, the Texans are reeling. They lost Will Fuller because of the PEDs, and they have a couple of people. I didn't even realize they released Kenny Stills. Yeah. I mean, I know he wasn't doing much, but that's it's still a little surprising to me.
And by the way, I stand corrected. It's 7 teams that get into the playoffs this year. So the Raiders are 1 back behind the Dolphins and the Ravens. So we'll see where that goes. But a lot of good games this weekend, man. A lot of playoff implications. We're getting to that point of the season where a lot of these games are going to come down and mean a lot to a lot of teams getting into the playoffs, draft positioning, obviously with our Jets, and hopefully. I mean, as much as you don't want them to go 0-16, so you can secure the number 1 pick. I'm going to go
out on a limb and say the Jets are not going to make the playoffs.
I think you could take the over on that one.
They were mathematically eliminated in week 1.
Yeah, exactly. But these also for draft positioning, these last 3 weeks are going to come down to the stretch. Can the Jet? I mean, will the Jets be? Will the Jets win a game? Right? They got the Rams coming up. Then they got the Browns, who both teams are playing for something. And then they got the Patriots at the end of the season. And I think two things are working for the Jets. One, they're just terrible, and they just don't have the offense or the defense to keep up with this team. And secondly, I don't think any one of these 3 teams wants to be the team that loses to the Jets. Whether they're 0-13, 0-14, 0-15 going in, you do not want to be that team that says, I lost to the 0 whatever Jets when they play them. So that's something to keep an eye on, and obviously week 16 they got the Patriots, and if
17,
I heard 17, sorry, and then I heard Colin Cowherd say this, but if Belichick really wants to rub it to them, let them win that game and get the second pick in the draft, and just ruin every hope the Jet fan has of getting Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and So let me ask you this. If the Jets were to win a game,
I would not be happy.
Who gets it with the because the Jaguars only have 1 win too.
Right.
So what's the tiebreaker there?
Tiebreaker is the strength of schedule. And right now the Jaguars have a better strength of schedule. Their schedule is tougher than the Jets. And so that's how they break it down. And so let's say the Jets beat the Rams or they beat the Browns, or the last week of the season they beat the Patriots somehow, and they go 1-15. And the Jags are 1-15 because of the strength of schedule. Obviously, Jacksonville had a tougher schedule. Jags will get the first pick, and Trevor Lawrence will be going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Justin Fields will be the second pick in the draft going to the New York Jets.
Okay. I mean,
so there you go.
We'll just have to, wait and see, but hopefully.
Go ahead.
No, just hopefully.
No, I was just I'm looking forward to these games for playoff positioning. I just want to see the playoffs. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you could wrap off a couple before we bring on our guest.
No, and then I was just going to say, I'm interested in seeing the Saints because Breeze is still not coming back. He's still got his body's literally broken, right? And so, they're not going to put him back on the field until he's healed. And there's 3 weeks left of the season before they get to the playoffs.
Yep.
And, Taysom Hill, I don't think he's the long-term answer. Hell, I don't think he's the short-term answer. I think they'd have a better shot with James Winston out there. So,
I mean, obviously it should have been, a lot more marquee of a game. But, unfortunately, Drew Brees, father time's catching up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we dealing with broken ribs and stuff that can happen to anybody. But it's really tough, and it's a little deflating out of the game because it should be really marquee game, and it's really the Chiefs should cruise to a easy victory in that game. I would imagine. I mean, Jalen Hurts beat the Saints this past week, so I know they're home and everything, but Taysom Hill against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, proof is in the pudding at that
exactly
at that point. All right, so we'll cover a couple of more of the games. We do have some Saturday games this week, but we'll cover them after our next guest. So Our final guest for season 1, now joining us. He's a Fox News sports anchor, and now we're bringing on Matt Napolitano.
What's going on, guys?
Matt, how we doing?
Matt, how you doing tonight?
Hey, doing all right. How are you boys doing?
Doing well. Love the Jets hat.
Yeah, you
Love
got
it.
the Jets
To the
hat.
bitter end, baby. To the bitter end.
Just end the season. Just end the season.
I haven't heard that one for 3 decades. Jeez.
Yeah, man. We're right there
Hey, we're
with you,
Jets
man.
fans too, man.
I know.
But this is but it's actually fitting right now. We want the season to end so we can just lock up that number 1 pick.
You know, a couple weekends back, that Raiders loss is the first time in my life I could collectively remember seeing every Jets fan just so adamantly excited that they blew it. It was the most Jets way to lose, but it was the most beloved Jets way to lose.
We, me and Rick were on the phone, and I was like, I picked them in my survivor pool, the Raiders, and I'm like kicking myself. I'm like, I cannot believe this. An easy, gift wrapped win, and they blew it. And then I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, they got 30 seconds left. All right, hoping a prayer, and hey, I mean, it happened.
God bless Henry Ruggs.
It was just
Greg Williams died for our sins, man.
He's a martyr. That's what he is, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
The guy deserved a medal, and he got a red slip. So I mean,
a red slip from the Jets is like a silver medal.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well said, my friend. Well said.
That is a medal. So Matt, thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you join us. No, absolutely. So, we start off, every interview really with the same question, where did your love for sports start, and how, and those fan experiences that really hooked you in?
For me, it's got to start back in, say, when I was 8 years old was when sports really came to the forefront for me, because I was actually, go figure, was the year the Jets were very successful. That was the 12-4 year, Vinny Testaverde leading the way. And being from the next town over from where Vinny Testaverde was, there was a lot more hype. So I got caught up in all the excitement surrounding that team, got to go to a couple games that year. And that's how I really just found myself falling in love with football. And then when the football season ended, obviously disappointment, not getting to the Super Bowl that year, though they should have beat the Broncos in that AFC Championship game. I was like, what other things get myself involved in? And thankfully, my dad is a pretty big sports fan. So he was a diehard Mets fan. So he dragged me into that. He's a pretty big Knicks fan, dragged me down that wormhole. So thanks, Dad. I haven't seen a title win in my lifetime. I can never fault him, though. I was the one who chose to be an Islanders fan because my first ever hockey game was at the Coliseum, Isles Avalanche. They lost 4-2, but, there's nothing like the barn. And I just found myself enthralled there. But I would say it started then. And I just, over time, found myself as much as I loved playing these sports, I realized I was better at talking and writing about these sports. So over time, that really just actually built even more of a love for me because I really got to get more into the in-depth and the nitty-gritty in getting to talk to the players, talk to coaches, and it really gave me more of an essence of what I really loved about each game and each athlete and each coach, different things about their strategies. And I found myself getting more and more down that wormhole to where I knew when I was time for college what I wanted to do. And thankfully, I lucked out, had an amazing program at Hofstra around the same time when they brought in the New York Islanders as the radio home of the New York Islanders. So that timed out nice and perfectly, too. So thankfully, it's led to a very real, just an amazing opportunities on my end that I can't even believe that I've got to experience so far. But it all started from that little kid watching a preseason game back in '98 and watching I believe it was the Ravens whooped up on the Jets. I think it was Testaverde's first preseason game with the Jets and just him getting absolutely smoked that people were calling for Glenn Foley to come back in the game. So just from that tragedy of a Jets game, here I am. I have emerged.
We're all in the same boat, when it comes to that. I'm a Mets fan, so I haven't really seen a title win. They were one when they won in '86. I was one when they won in '86. So I don't count that. And
if I were you, I would count it.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. Like, I hope to, to live a few years, and I'm just going to give.
I have this fear. I think back to when the Cubs finally won it, and you remember those people that had like beers in their fridge from like back in '82. Yeah. That is my fear in life. That I'm going to put like a Pabst in the fridge, and I'm not going to be able to open it until I'm like 78 because they finally won, and it's going to just be the most skunk thing on earth. So if I'm you, I'm just appreciating the fact that it happened within my lifetime. I got 3 decades on the planet, and I have yet to see any of my teams win a title.
Yeah, well, if I make it to like 80, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember back in my day when the Mets won. I remember it just like it was yesterday.
I remember shouting "Goo Goo Gaga."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I definitely can relate with you on those. Rick. Rick's had a little bit of success.
I've had success
being a Yankee fan, but
okay, all right.
So when you were young, you also said that your grandfather had you calling play-by-plays with the stuff on mute. Like, how old were you then? And is that really what spiraled you into that whole loving that broadcasting side of things?
Yeah, that was a really big thing for me. Actually, that even takes me back a little further with my love for sports. My grandfather Sal, used to actually take us in the wagon, me and my cousin, with him to go to the off-track betting site. So I knew about horse racing from the time I was 3 years old. That might have actually been the first sport I really knew about, was horse racing. Come to think of it, though, I'd say I was about 9 or 10 when he would mute the Yankee games. He was a diehard Yankee fan. He was actually at Roger Maris's 61st home run game.
Wow!
Yeah,
wow!
It's a story we did not find out until actually the movie. You remember the TV movie 61 came out?
Yeah.
And that's when he was like, "Oh yeah, I was at that." I was like, "You're just telling us this now?" Even his own children were like, "Wait a minute, what?" His own children who were alive during that time, like, "Wait, we didn't know you were there. You were getting milk." No, it would just be. Yeah, I mean, I just remember him just throwing it on mute, and he would just let me call the game. And at that point, I'd been watching the Mets broadcast, so I'd gotten a feel for what exactly a play-by-play guy does. I would try to, cover it up with little quips. He would actually give me the copy of Newsday that he always had next to him, and I would read, whatever the stat line was from that day, whatever Mets or Yankees stat line they had in there, and just try and, rattle it off like I knew what I was talking about. And, I did that for, a couple of years, and then I would actually my cousin would actually always mute Madden, and then I would be calling the games on Madden while he was playing against his little brother. And the thing that always for some reason threw them off was the fact that it's like, oh, gain is 7 on the play, and it would come up at 2nd and 3. It's like, how'd you know that? It's like, because I did math and it's counted.
Just count the lines, man. Count the lines.
That's it. Yeah.
So unfortunately, some refs can't do that themselves, but hey.
Yeah. So, Matt, I'm a fellow Hofstra alum myself, so it's good talking to you. So when you leave college at Hofstra, what was your first opportunity? Where was your first opportunity? Where did you start? How did it sort of take off right there?
Well, the first job I had right out of Hofstra, class of 2012, was with a radio station called FM News 101.9 that was right here in New York City.
Okay.
Of course, you haven't heard of it because it was defunct after a year. I'd actually started working there during my senior year of college. November 2011, was doing part-time, and then they brought me on full-time once I graduated. Mm-hmm. And then 2 months after I graduated, the station folded. So imagine going out into the working world, thinking this is my career. At that point, they were actually training me to take over as their sports reporter. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm coming into market 1 right out of college. Who does this?
Yeah.
No one does it because it just didn't happen. It never happened. So that was, a lot of lessons learned about journalism there, of what not to do, essentially. Mm-hmm. So it paid off in the long run. But eventually I wound up a month later at TMZ.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and TMZ obviously is very aggressive. What was that experience like working there where you have they're in your face, they're trying to get cameras in and get shots? What was that experience like? It's
a lot.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So I will say this, though. It was the fastest process by which you can ever get hired. I got interviewed on the phone on a Friday, follow-up phone call on a Saturday, met with Harvey Levin himself on a Monday for an interview, and then had the job on Thursday. Had to go into the job Thursday. Still to this day, the fastest HR process on the planet. But it was a very intensive environment. It was very much sink or swim, where like you were on like really strict deadlines. You know, obviously what TMZ's big thing is always like getting the story out first.
Right.
And, you know, if you were not the one that got it first, you heard it. You heard it from the higher ups. So that was a strange experience, especially going into the world of like, you know, I had done like a little bit of like entertainment reporting, like for the news show Newsline over at WRHU. And that was like the span of my entertainment realm. So like I was trying with it, but let me tell you something, there is no worse feeling on the planet than it being 5 a.m. You get woken up out of bed to rush into Manhattan from Long Island to have to stand outside a nightclub where Lindsay Lohan just got busted for assaulting some lady. And it really makes you reflect on a lot of things in your life. Especially when it's like, because, you know, obviously when you're rushed out the door, you're not thinking like, okay, I gotta like, you know, get this and that, and I gotta dress for this kind of weather. I'm throwing on the first things I got, and I am standing out there. It is 30 degrees, and I am in like, not like, I'm dressed for Florida, essentially, trying to cover this story to the point where I finally, after like 4 hours, was able to like get inside. And just from like being so frozen like a popsicle, I was like shaking like a leaf that they thought they were going to have to call an ambulance for me. They thought it was like getting like hypothermic because I was just like defrosting so much. It was a very unique experience. One that I lived, and I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. You know, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You know?
So not very incognito, running out there in summer clothes and 30-degree weather. They're like, oh, he must be paparazzi.
They knew who was who. And you know what? What was funny was there is like this like weird. I mean, obviously, I can't speak for how it was out in LA, which was the hub. So in New York, it was just a few of us, and then there was like guys from the Post and from the Daily News and different other websites. There was this weird little camaraderie amongst people because it was like almost like a shared misery and having to cover these things. And you would recognize, like, you know, you come to a story, it's like, oh, okay, I guess something's going on. So-and-so's here. So somebody knows something.
Right.
You know, for the most part, it was like they would have people like stand outside like the Today Show or Good Morning America waiting for celebrities to come out that way, or they'd get tipped, or they'd get calls on the tip line like, oh, so-and-so is eating at this restaurant, or, you know, oh, hey, I just passed by this place and this person is talking to this person. It's like, it was very much like word of mouth and like looking at like who's going to be on TV that day to determine like where you were going, where they were heading, what you had to research. And then obviously, like, you know, big stories come down the pipeline and it, you know, changes up your day for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. And so you just did the you know, the broadcast and the journalism side of things, or were you manning the cameras?
Very rarely out in the field. You know, I try to be out in the field as much as possible because I thought it was like the cooler side of it. Yeah. But you know, I was more on the research end of things. I was more on the production side of everything. But you know, it was cool. And every now and then, like, you know, obviously we got in good with our guys and our camera guys. They'd be like, hey, so-and-so is like at the hotel that's right across the street. If you want to like come by. And, you know, some of these celebrities like build a rapport with these guys. Like, you know, we were able to take like photos. Like I got a photo with the Backstreet Boys that I still use as an icebreaker. Like, it's still the coolest thing for me. It's like one of the coolest of moments. It's like the 90s kid in me was just like reliving my glory.
Hey, there you go. There you go. So how long were you there? And then what was your next, gig after that?
So I was there for roughly a year. And then after that, I, you know, needed a break from the industry. So I ended up actually going into the corporate world, doing a 9-to-5 gig in insurance for a while. And, you know, it was great. It paid the bills and met some really cool people. But then an opportunity came along to get back into broadcasting. Actually, I brought up FM News. One of the anchors from that channel, a good buddy of mine, reached out to me and was like, hey, are you still working in radio? Are you working in TV? And I'm like, nah, I haven't done it for a while. And he's like, well, I'm at this new channel that's starting up for Sirius XM, and they're looking for a sports guy for the weekend. Would you be interested? I'm like, why not? You know, something to do on a Saturday, one day a week, get a little extra money. And, you know, the second I went back, it was like, I got to get back here full time. I missed this too much. So it just became like a full scale grind. Like any way I could get back in the door, I was going to get there. And, you know, lo and behold, a couple of years later, they were like, okay, well, we've got a writer's position, a news writer's position. You can keep doing sports on the weekends, but 3 days a week, we need you to write stories. And I'm like, sold. Let me back in. So I jumped right back in the pool. And then I also lucked out 5 months into that when the afternoon sports guy decided to go to greener pastures. And I ended up swooping in and taking the job. So timing is everything in the industry.
Yep.
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
I tell you when they say that. Now, luckily, I'm there about 3.5 years now. Wow, geez, 3.5 years now, full time for Fox News Radio as the sports anchor on Fox News Headlines 24/7.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I thank my lucky stars that the timing of everything just came to fruition the way it did.
Yeah, that's incredible. Go ahead, Mike.
No.
I was going to say, so tell us, you've covered some big events, obviously, a couple Super Bowls, a World Series. You know, you've done three Heisman Awards and a couple of Daytona 500s.
Yeah.
Tell us what was your experience like covering like your first major event in broadcasting?
Yeah, the first major event I got to cover was actually this like meet and greet with the NASCAR Cup like round of 16 guys, like right before the playoffs started. This was back in 2017. And it was like the first time I'd been like on the beat for Fox News, like as a representative of them. And I was nervous as could be. Now, granted, I had done these like through Hofstra. I had done it, you know, obviously I'm working at TMZ. Like I was used to being in front of people and I'm used to being on camera and interacting. Like, it was not an issue for me. And then I don't know what it was. It was literally like this like small event inside the Microsoft store in Manhattan. And I was the most panicked I've ever been in my life. Like I'm walking in there with just like such butterflies in my stomach, like first day of school noise. Like I was just so not ready for it. And then then to make things worse, this is how they set up the event, is that we're all like, you know, we're about like, you know, 3 different outlets sitting at a table. And then it was rotational that the drivers were coming around and then just sitting next to us. And it's like, okay, well, here's Kevin Harvick is sitting 2 feet away from me right now, and I have to ask him things. So, you know, start talking. Okay, start talking, Matt. Start talking. It's like finally, by the end of it, I found a comfort zone, and I walked away, and I was like, and then I came back with everything, and I'm like thinking to myself, you know, obviously when the first time that ever happens for you, like you automatically go to the worst part of your brain, and you're like, I blew this. They're never gonna let me do this again. There's no chance. I'm never gonna be allowed back. And you know, behold, like my bosses reach out. It's like, that's the best coverage we've ever had on anything like that. You know, we don't really get good sports coverage. I'm like, oh,
okay. There you go.
Say no more, please. Say no more. And then obviously, and then after that, they were like, you know, the Heisman ceremony is coming up, do you want to cover it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Now this is the year of that Baker Mayfield ended up coming.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was the first year I got to do it. So it was really interesting just being a part of like the media day for that, and you know, getting a chance to like sit one-on-one. It was the same situation too. It was like they sit at the table, you just got to start firing off questions to them. And of course, you know, everybody's got like the same generic questions. So it was like so hard to try and spice it up. And you also got to feel bad. These guys are like coming off practice, getting ready for major games that are coming up. Like this is like the last thing on their mind, to fly to New York and just getting like woken up to have to do these things. But it's been incredible. I mean, I've been really lucky. You know, as you mentioned, I got 2 Daytona 500s under my belt now. Got to cover the World Series in 2018. I was at Fenway for the first 2 Red Sox wins. Yeah. And then I got 2 Super Bowls now, which I have to say, I mean, this past one was absolute insanity in Miami.
In terms of like the partying and all that's going on, or the game itself?
No, I would say the game itself, because you got to realize I only covered 2. So I had this one, Chiefs 49ers. It ended up being a great game. Okay. And then along with I caught like the latter half of the halftime show with J-Lo and Shakira. They put on a phenomenal show.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah.
The year before, I have Rams Patriots, one of the slowest games in creation, that I'm like kicking myself, like, why am I here? Why am I here right now? I know I have to cover this, but this thing has to pick up. At some point, it has to pick up. Like at halftime, Gladys Knight was MVP. This needs to like, and then Maroon 5 was the halftime, and then that was like another snooze fest. Yeah. And then like by the time the game was over, I'm like, okay, how do I twist this and make this sound like this was the game of the century? This is like, you know, the end all be all of sports. And thankfully, it was made better that I came like this close to the GOAT, to Tom Brady.
Okay.
Got to interview him post game, because I stand by this. It's my theory, and I knew it was going to pan out for me. They had like different booths set up, and then they set up a screen saying like, you know, this X player is going to be at booth number so-and-so. 12 stayed empty. Everybody's flocking to all the other booths, like just like waiting to get anybody. I'm like, 12's empty for a reason. 12 is empty for a reason here. And lo and behold, Tom Brady sits down at booth number 12, and I'm the first one like right in his face.
That's incredible. You know,
Awesome.
I just want to follow up. What is that like to get these guys to interview? Because they get all this medium scrum, especially after a game, win or lose. Like, how I can only imagine. Is it like a fist fight to get to interview these guys? I mean, what is it like on the field after that?
Yeah, it's really intense. So where I was located, I was within the media room for Super Bowl 53.
Okay.
So it was just a mad dash from there to where the post game interviews were taking place, and it does become like a boxing out. Now, luckily, I'm 6'3", 200, so I got like little bit of ability. Yeah. But people are like coming up under you or going over you. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about the over so much as the under. Like I had at one point, I think there was like three. Like it was actually kind of like this. It was like 3 microphones going out of my armpit of just people trying to get the sound in, because they had like one little hookup box like just to plug in so you can like record your audio. I had one of the jacks, and then like the other 7 were vastly accounted for. So I just had to kind of like adapt and just like kind of just adjust my way through, like while I'm getting like jabbed in the stomach, trying to like come out with a question. But it's fun though. As weird as it sounds, it's so much fun because it's just like so competitive and it's just so crazy. And you get so caught up in the moment that like once it all settles, it's just funny because it's just like a giant ebb, just a giant relief. Like once Brady walks off the stage, like everybody backs off. Everybody kind of social distances for a little bit. And then it starts right back up once another person comes in. It's like a wave pool. But it's fun. It's so enjoyable.
That's amazing. Obviously, 2 Super Bowls is great. Are you gonna cover this next one, or is everything everything's up in flux right now because of everything's how things are going
right now? So everything's kind of up in the air. Obviously, things have been completely thrown through a loop by this pandemic. It's kind of a wait and see right now. I'm hoping that maybe something comes to fruition. I know Florida's a little bit more lax on how many people you can have inside the stadium. So I don't know how that's going to be for media. And obviously, I mean, it's been really different now. I don't see much changing by way of like having these like Zoom conferences in terms of players ahead of game day, in terms of coaches ahead of game day. I don't see that changing much because it seems like players and coaches almost kind of prefer not having the media in the room.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like this social distancing thing is great. You guys stay the hell out of here. We don't want to have to look you face to face. You're ugly. We don't want you in the room.
I mean, that's one way to silence the media.
It is what it is.
That's one way to silence the media. Be like, oh no, you're just not allowed to come.
Out of
here. So no bad PR if they ban everybody. Yeah. So you're now the 3rd guest in a row that was at this previous Super Bowl. We had somebody doing Podcast Row last Thursday's episode, and we had somebody behind the camera for this past Tuesday's episode. So we're now just like trying to, because now that we're in broadcasting, I mean podcasts, like we're really in the sports broadcasting world. We're trying to do that research on how to get over there, because we want to do SoFi. We want to go to SoFi for the next Super Bowl. But I'm sure a lot of yours is probably with like Fox, doing all the red tape and all that. But what do you know about like how to go about that that process?
I think back to when I was at Hofstra more so with that, where it was a lot more hustle to try and like get into these events because you're not as known of an outlet. Like obviously, as you mentioned with Fox, a lot of the red tape is taken care of for me. But it's a matter of just making sure like you get your face out there, make the brand known, getting a few phone calls to these people, and just stress like, especially the one big thing that worked for me at Hofstra was stressing the fact that, hey, we're up and comers. We're just trying for a shot. And a lot of times, people were very understanding of that. Like when we were just like, hey, we want to cover this event. Even if it was just a small thing, it was more appreciated from that PR agent's aspect, being like, wow, these guys are coming out to this event of like X some odd people. And, they keep you in the back of your head as you're building your way up, and you build a rapport and you create that relationship to the point where it's like, hey, this major event's coming up. I'm going to be working this. You guys need access to it. And it really panned out a lot of times. It's getting in on sort of the ground level. It's much like you would with an internship in the industry where, you start small and you kind of work your way up, you build your contacts. And that's when you eventually get to a place where you can gain access to the events a little bit more easier, and eventually have to not worry too much about the hurdles in front of you. Obviously, things like, the Super Bowl and the World Series, it's just like everybody flooding the gates at once. Everybody's like trying to get in there first. So it's a little bit tough in that aspect, but at the same time, I think that it's best to just get yourself in with somebody early on, get in on those small events and really build up the relationship, because it makes it that much easier for you and builds up your brand because you're the one in there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Rick,
I was going to ask, so you've done a couple of Super Bowls, a World Series. What is an event that you haven't done that you're looking forward to doing as your career goes?
I got to cover March Madness. I'm
Really?
dying to cover March Madness, because unfortunately this year Hofstra finally made it back to the NCAA tournament. And then what happens?
COVID. Yeah.
Every year it was either George Mason or Northeastern ruining things. This year it was COVID.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance. I mean, that's definitely on my radar. The last time we were able to have access, because that's a really tough one, obviously, to get into. Yeah. And last time we had access was right before I took over the job. So I'm hoping, better luck in, I don't know what's going to be for 21. I know there's plans to have it all in Indianapolis right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with that, wait and see. If not, maybe in 22, but that's the next one I got to cross off, because as much as I do want to be in a Stanley Cup final as well, but I almost feel like I can't go there until my Islanders do.
Well, they can't go this year.
I'm not turning down the opportunity, don't get me wrong, but if it comes up, but I feel like they got to get there before I do.
Got it. And now you've interviewed Tom Brady. You've had some big interviews. Who is your unicorn out there? The one out there that you would love to sit down for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and just interview and kind of get to know them?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of who I would want to have that with. Obviously with Tom Brady, it was more of a scrum. So, it would be cool to have like a lengthier one there. Truthfully, I think for me as a Jets fan, I would want to have the time to just sit down and pick Joe Namath's brain, because I feel like that's just going to be a fun interview.
That's a crazy interview with that guy.
I feel like I feel like it'll just be going down a wormhole, and then I just fear at some point he's going to want to kiss me, and then it's just,
I think he's good now. I think he's okay.
Yeah, he's good now. He's good now. He's got the Susie Colbert moment out of his system. I'm trying to think of I think that would probably be like the first on my radar. Obviously, I would have to bring up Michael Jordan. That would be a great one just to sit down. I grew up a huge Barkley fan, so I would love to pick Barkley's brain for a little bit, because that's another one where I feel like I'd just be thoroughly enjoying myself and not be like so caught up in the fact that it's like, this higher than, this almost like godly being. Whereas Barkley, I feel like, it would be like 20 minutes of just, shooting the breeze and just like having a little bit of fun. So those are guys that are definitely would be on my radar. Of course, if there were opportunities to interview people at the political level, I wouldn't mind interviewing any former, living president just to pick a brain there.
That'd be great. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a politics nerd too, so it's like, I would enjoy that. I was that weird kid that like knew all the presidents in order at age 6. So
okay.
Nice. I was that weird kid. Yeah.
So I want to change gears a little bit. Obviously, big career in the sports broadcasting. But you've done a couple of other interesting things that many people have not had the opportunity to. And I believe it started when you became a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That was first, correct?
Yeah, that was first.
Talk to us a little bit about that. And where was that? Was that in LA, or was that over?
So that was actually in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
So, wow.
So I know you think like New York, LA. Nope, Stamford, Connecticut. No offense to the city of Stamford. We love you here at Canterbury. But so actually the audition took place in New York. And it was just, you come in, they give you literally like a 20-question quiz, give you, I believe it was like 7 minutes or something like that to finish it. And, and you had to get like a certain amount right to move on to like an in-person interview, and just to see how you'd be on camera and test out your energy levels and your knowledge. And from there, they ended up giving me a call being like, hey, we want you on the show. Now, at that point, Terry Crews was actually host of the show. And they actually had gotten rid of the phone a friend in favor of like bringing like your phone a friend into the audience. So like they were like on standby. So it's like they couldn't even be like at home like Googling for you. They were right there with you.
Wow. All right.
That was the longest day ever, because we had to get to Stamford, Connecticut. I think it was like 7 a.m. and they were filming all day, like having to check out the stage. and they keep you in a room locked away where you don't have access to your phone. You have no access to anybody outside, computers or anything like that. And they didn't even have like, TV we could watch or anything, or like games we could play. Like we were trying to like make up our own games as we were going. Like we were doing like charades at one point, like just anything to like keep our brain stimulus going. It was not working well. Plus this still hurts me to this day. They did not have coffee in like the back room. It's like, I need something. I need something to get me going. I mean, thankfully I had the one on the drive up, but like, but by the time they called me, I think I was like the second to last episode of the day. I was so tired. Like my brain was just like not correlating thoughts at all. I was like slap happy. I was trying to be like too jokey with Terry Crews. And it was just like, this is not going well. And it did not go well. Because obviously like, the original Millionaire was like, you start at 100, 200, you work your way up.
Yeah.
They changed it. And it was that they give you the question and then they reveal the monetary amount after you answer the question correctly.
Okay.
So you bank it up essentially until you get to a certain point. I was not aware because I'll be honest, I had not watched Millionaire in a little bit of a while because it was on during the daytime. I was working, so I didn't really get a chance to watch it as much as I would have liked to. But once they told me that, I'm like, this is not going to go great for me. This is not. I was relying on that hierarchy of slowly progressing me, and now I'm already now mentally fried, and my brain is going like it looks like the inside of like an airline map of just everything like going zip zap around trying to like figure out what the heck is the answer. And at one point, I had to call on my lifeline. My friend Victoria came down from the audience to help me out with the question, and I relied on her for the answer. We got it wrong. I walked away with 1,000, which was nice. But it was. I wish I had a better brain for that day than I did because it was just such a mess.
I mean, you were wiped out. I mean, it's a long day. I can imagine.
I'll tell you, this is how bad the episode was. I filmed that episode. I think it was August of 2014. Yeah. And it did not air until May of 2015. I think they were just holding off.
Wow.
For it to reach the air because it was that bad. They're like, oh, God, this kid's annoying, and he stunk. No redeeming quality whatsoever.
Oh man. And so what's like that process like? Obviously, you got called in. Well, you got that, that test, but how did you get in? Do you just put in like an application online or mail in some kind of application, and they'd say, okay, here's the test, or
so they have it on. So they had online, like they give you like dates for the auditions, like telling you when they were going to be in New York and when they were wanting to, bring people in. And I saw that one of the dates happened like just to correlate when I was working in the city at the time, and it was like a 7 p.m. test, or 6 or 7 p.m. And I'm like, okay, this is right after I get out of work. I can head uptown and go. It was actually over at the ABC studios over near Columbus Circle, and went in there and was just like, let's give this a shot. What do I got to lose? I had done it before because what they used to do actually was you would go to a taping of Millionaire. And while you were there, they would give out the test and then you just stick around for the taping. So I'd done that one year with a couple friends of mine from Hofstra, and none of us made it. It was all that time. It was all science questions, which I still cry foul onto this day. I was like, okay, I got no chance. This is not science. Not my strong suit. It's never been my strong suit. Had it been like all history or all sports, I would have had a better shot.
I gotta ask, because when the Millionaire show first started, like they would call celebrities or whatever, and man, could you call anybody you want before, or they say these are the certain people you can call?
Well, they actually wouldn't let me call anybody. They had me bring the person like in the studio with me. You couldn't even. So when I did it, the phone a friend was not a thing. They got rid of the phone a friend for like it was like bring your friend down from the crowd and have them also be on the spot with you.
Yeah.
So that was. I mean, honestly, if my friend Victoria was on the phone a friend, we would have gotten it right.
Okay.
She's a fast researcher, so she would have found the answer. But the fact that it was like on the spot, it definitely threw a wrench in a lot of people. I mean, we was like 10 of us that day filming, and like they were just going through us like Kleenex. Like everybody like lasted like 2 or 3 questions, and we were just like, nope.
Wow.
It was not. It was. I'm glad they got rid of that. Because clearly they were just like, okay, this is not a good look. No one's winning money, so why is anybody going to do this?
Yeah, definitely. Out of curiosity, do you remember the question?
Okay, it was. I don't remember it like verbatim because I've tried to block it out of my memory so much at this point. It was about apparently the original version of the Pledge of Allegiance, which I was actually honestly thrown off by. I didn't realize that there was a different version of the Pledge of Allegiance to the one we know now.
Right.
And it was like, it's like, what exactly? It was like, what do you pledge allegiance to? And there was multiple choice. And I remember thinking that it was like this. It was like I pledge allegiance to this great country, I think was the choice we went with. And it was something. It's like and then it ended up being like I pledge allegiance to like our beautiful flag or something like that. It was such a mess of a question. Or I was just like, once they read it out loud, I'm like, I didn't even know that this had a prior version. I am not in a good spot, and I'm pretty sure the person I'm with here is not going to know it either because she's only 2 years older than me. So unless it changed sometime during her infancy, I have no shot at this.
And then you also did Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. So what were those experiences like?
Wheel of Fortune was a lot of fun. Wheel of Fortune, that was like end of 2015. Yeah, end of 2015. And like it was just such a blast. Like that was like a total 180 from the experience because like they brought us in early, but they kept us like entertained. They had us out in the studio. They had us like doing practice puzzles. They had us like doing trial runs of the show. At one point, Vanna came out and introduced herself to us and was like talking with us.
Wow.
And like they were doing everything they could to keep the energy level up. Not to mention, like, they had coffee backstage, which was a help. And every sugary snack on the planet. They're like, anything to make sure that when you get out there, you are just 100. You are just like,
you're jacked. You're just flying.
You're jacked. You're just going to make the wheel spin like, at like 180 miles per hour, whatever it takes to make you a good contestant. And it ended up being such a fun experience. And that one went way better. Ended up scoring a good chunk of cash, and I actually got a trip to St. Lucia out of it.
All right. Okay, nice.
But I choked in the bonus round. Choked hard in the bonus round.
Hey, you know what?
Listen, St. Lucia.
That one I remember because my friends don't let me live it down to this day. Browsing the aisles was the bonus puzzle.
Oh man, I mean, who's gonna get that one? That's a tough one.
I had enough letters where I probably should have gotten it.
Oh, all right, okay.
In all honesty,
in hindsight, you should always get it, right?
You should get it.
I mean, the pressure's on. I mean, you probably got like a million lights shining in your face.
Exactly. And you know what? Those sound effects you hear on TV, we hear them right there in the studio.
Really?
That music is right there, man. It's it's intense. Like, it's just it makes.
So when you get a thing wrong, it's like right. Yeah.
And the time's up. And the worst was obviously Pat Sajak shows you what's inside the envelope, and it was $50K I missed out on.
Oh man!
Actually, if you play back the video, you see me just like kind of disintegrate. Like I basically fold in half like a Murphy bed, and then like come back up. You see me, I'm like this, like just like huffing and puffing, like literally in the back of my head. I'm like, don't hit Pat Sajak. It's not his fault. Don't hit Pat Sajak. It's not his fault. And so just like my hands are like this. I'm like.
Oh man!
I just couldn't get over it. I'm like, I thought I had it in the bag. I got cocky. I'll be honest. I got cocky in the bonus round. And it bit me.
What was the feeling when you sit there and you lean over and you spin that wheel? Like, what was that like? That feeling, going through.
That thing is heavy. First of all, that thing is a lot. It's super heavy. So like, it's this massive wheel, and you're trying to like get a grip on it. You have like this much to. I mean, I've got like massive hands, so I'm like trying to like get my grip on this thing. It's like by the time I'm like able to release, like I can't even get myself to get a good spin out of it because the thing is just so massive and heavy. But it's so cool in that moment when like you're just catching onto it and just like praying that it doesn't land on bankrupt. And like I remember the first time I spun it, and I'm like, this is unreal. This just happened. I can't believe I'm doing this right now. And of course, it landed on bankrupt my first spin. And I was like, this is where this is heading. Luckily, the day, there was no way up from there, and thankfully, it worked out.
Nice.
It's all your years of being a Mets, Jets, and Knicks fan just all coming back.
All one colorful wheel, my friend.
The writing was on the wall already. You're like, okay, this guy's a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan. We're gonna give him. It's just gonna be bankrupt. That's
exactly
the way it is. This guy doesn't deserve good things.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's a bit strong. All right. Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah. No. So obviously, we want to touch a little bit on Jeopardy. You obviously were on it this year, with the late great Alex Trebek. His final episode will be airing just next week on Christmas Day. And you got to go out there right before all the quarantines and the COVID, social distancing was about to happen. I know that, it was not the same process as you would have normally expected. I saw no handshakes or anything like that, but talk to us about, obviously meeting Alex Trebek, being on the iconic game show, just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And it's crazy because I had auditioned for it for years. I mean, I auditioned for the high school version, the college version, several times as an adult trying to get it because, the online test you have to take is a really difficult test. And they reached out to me to do the audition in 2018 and told us the day from when you do the in-person audition, you're in the contestant pool for 18 months. And at that point, time had passed by. I figured they probably just didn't opt for me. They're not going to pick me. And they reached out to me February of 2020. Producer reached out to me and said, this is the call. We want you on. And they give you a 2-3 week notice and to fly out to LA. And the day I got to film was actually the same day that it was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. They actually told us backstage. We didn't have a studio audience. The audience was just us contestants who were filming that day and family members who came in with people. Everything was social distance to the max, everything they could do. Because obviously him being in his condition, they wanted to prevent anything from happening. But, it didn't take away from just the majesty of it, in a way, it's surreal walking out onto that stage and just seeing the giant board and just seeing all the lights surrounding you, being behind the podium. And then the second he walks onto the stage, it's just there's nothing else in the room. This is one of the most iconic people in television history standing right in front of you. Somebody who I've been watching since I was 4 years old at 7:00 every night. It was so weird being on that stage and to have the chance to really meet him, albeit, with the protocols, we didn't get a chance to shake hands. So if you notice at the end of my episode, we do this little weird finger guns situation because we just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But, I'm forever. That's going to be my thing with Alex Trebek was we had our weird finger guns moment. Yeah. But it was crazy. He came up to us and was chatting with us and to talk to us after the episode. Obviously when he found out I was a sports reporter, I brought up that I'd covered Daytona 500s, I'd covered Super Bowls, and he was talking to me about the Daytona 500 this year with that massive wreck with Ryan Newman and just how he was honestly watching and waiting. I was called back to the Dale Earnhardt crash. And, just that similar, watching and waiting to hear something. And I even said to him, honestly, I sat at work waiting for the same thing, calling every contact I had within NASCAR to try and give me some information about what was going on, because it was just a lot of what ifs. And, obviously your head goes to the worst case scenario, but just to have that moment of just a one-on-one and him, just to actually pick my brain about NASCAR above all things was just so surreal. And the show itself was so cool, but I will say you do get super in your own head in that show because it's just you and the buzzer, that awful buzzer. That buzzer's tricky. If you miss it by this much, it freezes on you. They don't, it locks up and then you're not allowed to try again. So that's why I feel you ever watch a show and you people to see doing it's they're clicking a pen. Yeah. That's why. It's just eventually it's trying to get it to get back in so you can ring in with the answer. But it was a once in a lifetime experience. I'm so grateful because my episode was actually the last that was filmed that day. Ended up being the last new episode for some time until they started production back up again. So from June until early September, mine was the last new episode from its air date. Wow. And then when it came back, obviously I was very happy to hear that he was coming back because there was concerns is he still gonna be able to do it with his health? And then I just remember being here in my apartment and getting the news alert on my phone and just being just devastated. Yeah. Obviously there's celebrities and different figures in your life that it almost feels like a family member. And, and for me, that was with Alex Trebek, I was just, I would consider myself very lucky that I got the chance to meet him and be a part of Jeopardy, even if it was just for one episode, it was still a really, really surreal experience. And I do have to give kudos to the Jeopardy crew. Like, they were all awesome considering the circumstances of everything that was going on between his health and COVID, and just making sure we were having the memorable experience. It was once in a lifetime, and it was a thrill.
That's incredible, man. Yeah. So I want to shift gears back now. So let's get back to the sports. You got the Jets hat on. We're all Jets fans. We're all miserable. Give us your thoughts on the season, on Adam Gase, the draft. Like, give it to us in one shot here.
I need a shot to discuss this.
I got
my bar cart behind the Christmas tree. I'm about to run and grab something.
Okay.
This year has just been an absolute dumpster fire. If there were ever a season on par with 2020, it's the New York Jets season. It's been a mess up and down. The fact that you had the infighting amongst Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell, Adam Gase and Jamal Adams, Adam Gase and everybody within the organization, and yet Adam Gase is still among the gainfully employed Americans, while there's 885,000 people right now out of work, is just beyond me. That being said, let the tank continue. 0-16, I will accept it. Can't believe we're actually going to have a worse year than the Kotite year, but here we are.
Yeah.
But as long as the stars aligned, and hopefully Trevor Lawrence decides that he's going to go into the NFL and not opt for that extra year at Clemson, I think it's, writing's on the wall. Unfortunately for Sam Darnold, he got screwed over by bad coaching. I can see it end up turning into a Tannehill type situation that bites Jets fans in the butt. That he ends up going somewhere with a capable offensive coordinator. I'm not saying he's going to be, a dynamo, but I think he's going to be better than what we've seen.
Agreed.
Provided he stays away from, the Princeton girls and doesn't get mono again, but that's in and of itself. I think that there's some hope the first thing that's got to happen is Gase has got to go. If Gase does not go, you lose the fan base. Period.
Yeah, we're with you.
There's this feeling of disgust, this almost like layer of film of filth on me that says for some reason they're going to be like, we're going to give him one more year to prove himself. We think we can't fire him after this year, after everything that's gone on in society. We can't let him go. It's like the Falcons didn't have a problem with that. The Texans didn't have a problem with that. The Lions sent Patricia packing. Why didn't we do it mid-season? This guy is just not head coach material. Some guys just are not cut out to be head coaches in the NFL. Some of the greatest coordinators, even a guy like Romeo Crennel, it's a great defensive coordinator. He's just not cut out to be a head coach. It happens. It's just a part of their character and their ability to make it happen. So the first thing they got to do is get rid of Gase, prepare themselves, and then Joe Douglas has got to get to work within the free agent market to make some major signings happen, especially on the offensive line. Bring in a big name running back that's not a diva like Le'Veon, and get yourself some help in that secondary. Especially, do retain Marcus May. I think that's like your one, that's like the Obi-Wan back there in the secondary, the only hope. Other than that, it's going to be another building year next year. I would hope my hope for next year is to reach 6 wins. That's my highest hope, is to reach 6 wins. I'm a realist. I know I don't believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to come in and all of a sudden it's going to be a wild card caliber team.
No, I don't. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to come in and do what Justin Herbert's doing out there in LA with the Chargers.
Absolutely.
That's what I think he's going to do.
Absolutely.
And I think Joe Douglas has got to be given a little more power to sort of make these decisions now. And the next
Gase is not hiring. Gase is not his guy. That was McCagnon. That was not him. Everybody wants to loop the two together. That's McCagnon's boy.
So here's my follow-up. Who do you see, or who do you think the Jets will hire as the next head coach? Who would you want to see, but who do you think they're going to hire?
That's what worries me. Truthfully, the one thing that still amazes me is the fact that Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs is still not a head coach in the league. And I would love to see him get the shot with us.
And you're not concerned that with the Jets' history, they need a proven professional coach in there? Bieniemy, yes, he's a coordinator, but
I did think that way. But after seeing what's gone on in Dallas with McCarthy, granted, Dak getting hurt doesn't help things. They've had their share of injuries, but it's clear that these old school coaches just aren't going to gel. You need somebody who's on the caliber of a McVay, this young guy coming in, a Matt LaFleur kind of style guy. You need those people now that are going to take your organization to the next level. It's not with these guys like McCarthy. As much as Years ago, if you told me Bill Cowher wanted to come and coach the Jets, I'd be like, sign him up, whatever amount of money he wants, give him a blank check. I don't care. Get him in the building. Now, I wouldn't want Cowher in there. That old school gruff kind of guy, it just doesn't fly anymore. It wouldn't land well. And I don't think he would lead the Jets into anything special. I mean, look at the Raiders. The Raiders aren't incredible with Gruden back. It's a matter of getting a young guy in there who knows the game and is a specialist and can really take a young quarterback and guide them in the right direction above all else, because that's what we're seeing out of more of these coaches. I mean, look at the writing of the ship that Aaron Rodgers has had in Green Bay with LaFleur. I mean, the rapport those two have created in 2 years is insane. Yeah, you think they were bonded at the hip the entirety of their football careers. We need somebody like that for the New York Jets if anything's going to come to fruition, just to build from the ground up, because you're starting with absolute rubble after this year, and Lord knows what's to come.
So you don't want to see Jim Harbaugh leave Michigan and walk through those doors?
No. Granted, yes, the guy got to a Super Bowl back in the day, but with the going up against his brother, what was that? Sheesh, that's 7 years ago now. Wow.
Yeah, that's considered back in the day. Could you believe that?
Yeah. I mean, 2013 seems like it's 50 years ago with this year.
And that was the infamous blackout game, right?
Yeah, it was. That was the year that Beyonce broke all the lights in the Superdome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it was what was the thing they tried to associate with Ray Lewis on? There was some Ray Lewis correlation. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy or something like that over there. Yeah.
Conspiracy theory on that. But I think that Harbaugh. What's weird is I have an anticipation that they're going to keep him one more year in Ann Arbor. I don't know why. I don't think they should.
I think he's got to go there too. I'm with you on that one. Yeah,
just that program's turned into a disaster, and they came off of Brady Hoke to him. And
they still can't beat Ohio State.
They still can't. I mean, Ohio State's just unbelievable. Ryan Day's just an unbelievable coach. I will never I can't take away too much from Ohio State because they've done so much right as opposed to Michigan, which has done so much wrong.
Yeah. So let's stop talking about things that depress us with the Jets. Let's talk about some positives here. Mets fan to Mets fan, how are you feeling?
Man, when I tell you, I honestly jumped up and down as if I was a contestant on The Price is Right when that deal became official. I mean, thankfully, that is the one I do have to say. As much as I'm not a huge fan of the whole working from home thing right now, it was a positive in the fact that I've got to witness two things at home and was able to shout out the words I'd like to shout in rejoicing. And that is with the Islanders getting to the Eastern Conference Final and Steve Cohen's deal being finalized. I think it's great. There's nothing better in professional sports than when the owner of your team is a fan. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better because you know that there is an actual care for what product is being put out there. And you want fan input, and you want to make sure that the money keeps on rolling in and the fans are still smiling. That's why guys like Mark Cuban and Steve Ballmer are such successes in what they do with their teams, because they're getting the fans involved. They're getting the fans excited. The fact that we're going from the ill will of the Wilpons, of just the absolute worst, the bottom of the barrel from the Bernie Madoff scandal, to an owner that is reaching out to fans, did like a drive-by meet and greet at the stadium the other day. Mm-hmm. I mean, Steve Cohen is bringing a lot of promise. I mean, obviously he's on board. He wants to build a champion. He got Brody out day one, which was just, I mean, I haven't seen anything like that since, Reagan and the Iranian hostage crisis. Where
day one, they're home. Yeah.
Day one, Brody's out, and bringing Sandy Alderson back. I mean, I've always been a big Sandy fan, so I'm glad to see him back in the organization. A great pickup in GM with Jared Porter, which is a huge get. James McCann already coming on board, which is a good, good, solid, steady catcher that we haven't had in a while. I know that there was a lot of fans that wanted him to go for Real Muto, but I'm honestly on board with McCann. I know that there's been talk about the Springer deal coming forward. It seems like that things are going at a good pace. The Mets are making smart decisions right now. And if they keep this up, hopefully maybe not this year, but maybe the year after, they can be more of a real contender, be somewhere right now where the Dodgers are, and really just give people a run for their money. I mean, it'd be about time, considering the market that the Mets are in. You have to be contentious. You have to be willing to throw money at this to make it work. And now we've got a guy who's literally just ready to write the check, whatever needs to be done to get a win now. it's awesome. And Mets fans deserve it after what they've dealt with for the last few decades.
It's such a culture shock. I mean, unbelievable culture shock. And, and the players like Stroman coming back, like he immediately gave a shout out to Steve Cohen on his decision to want to come back. And like, Thor was, very vocal about it. McCann loved it. The kid, Trevor May, he said like, yeah. I mean, they all, everyone's like just excited with the culture that he's bringing. And, like I said, it's great to have a fan as an owner. $16 billion doesn't hurt that.
Not at all. No big deal.
It doesn't hurt it. But
quite a great neck, and I'm here.
But it really is. It's the culture that he brings with him, and the fact that he's gonna ride or die just like we are. Just a little bit more skin in the game than we have. So I know you went down the list of people you want to interview. Have you been able to get a hold of Steve, or do you want to?
I've been trying. He's a very busy man. Yeah. Obviously, they want to cater to the New York markets first, and I totally get that. But at some point, the Steve interview is going to happen. It's going to happen. If he's tuning in right now, Steve, give me a call, reach out.
There you go.
I like to think he watches the show.
I firmly believe he's watching this right now.
Yes, I think so. But if you get him on, put in a little good word for us.
Absolutely.
We would love to have him on here.
I wish it didn't fruition here. If it happens, you guys get the call. Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Matt, you know what I want? You just brought something that, you're home a lot. Like, you think moving forward with post-COVID vaccines, everybody will kind of get back to normal. You think your business is going to change? Like the way you guys cover sports, the way you guys interact with the athletes?
Yeah, I think that we could see a lot of like the Zoom conferences stay in place. I do think that, it's something that a lot of teams are, really at comfort with right now, and as much as I, hope that that's not the case in, regards to like post game and being able to get inside the locker room and get access like that, it really wouldn't shock me if, obviously a lot of the pregame and the lead up to say a football game or, before a baseball game, if media is not allowed in the room. I could see it staying put for some time. I think a lot of, and obviously a lot of these sports, as the NBA is preparing to tip off next week, NHL's talking mid-January. So it's going to stay in fruition for those seasons. With baseball, I know that there's talk they want to delay the season so players can get the vaccine first before reporting for spring training. Mm-hmm. I think maybe by 2022, maybe we see some of the normalities come back into how we cover these teams. Maybe we'll see a little bit more by time NFL preseason rolls around. But I think a lot of what you're seeing right now may stay put because of simply coach or player preference, that they'd rather interact that way. And it's more of I just got to sit here 10 minutes, rattle off questions, as opposed to, who's hovering around in the locker room, who's hovering around at this moment that I got to talk to. And it distracts me from, XYZ that I got to prepare for to get ready for this game. We'll see what happens. I think, I've been saying this for a while since the pandemic started, is that it can go one of two ways, where we can kind of like keep ourselves cloistered the way we are right now, where people are still working from home, or we're still relying on Zoom, or we're still relying on the over the computer interface, the electronic interface. Right. Or this could be a roaring 20s type situation where everybody just wants to get back outside, get out doing what they're doing, bring back that sense of normality as quickly as they can, as soon as it's safe to do so. I'm hoping it's the latter. But I do think for a while we may have a little bit more of the former, and people will just want to stick with what they're doing right now because they've kind of become accustomed to it. And eventually we'll get back to how we cover a normal game day.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, because I think, like, for example, this season, I think if you had a normal season with the media, Adam Gase would have been gone at week 8. He would not be here. He would not be here. He'd be gone. Greg Williams would have been the coach.
Oh, I would have brought the vaudeville cane myself and pulled him out of it. I would have gotten the guy that goes on the Showtime at the Apollo and just sweeps the people off the stage. I would have gotten that guy. I would have booked him. I would have gotten anything to get that man out of
Yeah.
to get that man out of East Rutherford. One-way flight from Newark back to wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's doing a disservice to the fans with the media not actually being there to being able to question them, being able to follow up. I mean, these guys can just get away with 1-2 word answers or one sentence and then move on and stuff like that. Like James Harden the other day got interviewed. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
After coming back from Atlanta and Vegas, he was quote unquote training, right, with his trainers, and he was just answering questions, and there was like no follow ups, and they can get away with that. So I think we need to get back to that.
But I know people want to blame camera angles for James Harden, but buddy,
yeah, homeboy looked like he's been eating a couple of Krispy Kreme donuts.
I know the camera adds 10 pounds, but how many cameras did you eat?
There we go.
Yeah.
Look at this. No, but and
I'm never gonna interview him now. That just went out the window.
Yeah, that's
the like also with the COVID, obviously the Jets haven't had fans in the stands, and who's to say how many fans would have just not come because of Gase, and then would have really hurt their pocketbook a little bit, and they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm sure it would have sold out anyway because it's football and it's only 8 games, but they wouldn't be happy about it. They'd be sitting there booing instead of their fake crowd noise that they're pumping in right now. I'm surprised they're not pumping in boos. I mean, come on.
They should
be realistic. Be realistic.
If you're trying to make it like realistic to the fan experience for these guys, you got to have them booing constantly. You have to have like some security guards like throw something on the field, like just to keep it real. Keep it real.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, listen, Matt, thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey,
anytime you want to come on. Oh, where can people find you? Like, if we want to listen to your show, where can people go and find you? Where can people listen to you?
You can tune in to Fox News Headlines 24/7. It's on Sirius XM, channel 115, your local Fox News radio affiliates. You might hear me on there every now and then. Twitter at Matt Napolitano, spelled just like it sounds. And no, I'm not related to the judge for those Fox News fans out there. I get that a lot. I'm not related, no relation whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, this has been incredible. This is really awesome. And happy holidays to you, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you for coming on. And
if you ever want to come back.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I
know I'm on the season finale, so hopefully, season 2 comes around. You just name it. Say when.
Oh yeah. No, we're gonna try and get some really fun things in store for season 2, and get it a little bit more exciting, and maybe some guest hosts and things like that.
Right.
But we're playing with some ideas. But thank you very much for coming on. Hope you get a chance to cover the Super Bowl in this COVID-ridden time, and hope you get that chance for the Heisman as well. I know you're looking forward to that.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
And let's see, maybe some more game shows in your future as well.
They just brought back Supermarket Sweep, so that might have to be the next one.
All right. Okay, there you go.
I want to run through the market.
Well, if toilet paper's on your list, I don't know if you're going to win. Anyway, thanks a lot, Matt. It's a pleasure. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. And we'll stay in touch.
All right, thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, Matt. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
All right, man. Matt, that's a great guy right there, man.
Yeah. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yes. He got to interview the GOAT, man.
Hey, man.
Hey.
I mean, that's just.
He has
he's awesome.
Dude, you know what people would do to get an interview with the GOAT? I mean, that's just incredible. So good for him.
Yeah. I mean, the only interview with a GOAT I had was when I went to Greece.
Yeah, there you go. Bum. All right, so the Raiders.
It's the season finale. I'm tired, everybody.
Yeah, it's season finale, folks. Raiders and Chargers are tied at 17. We're gonna make our picks for week 15, and then we're also are we doing picks to get to the playoffs or?
Yeah, well, let's
break down
week 15 first.
Let's go to our Book It Sports app here on our phones here,
which has some updates. Some updates have come out. So definitely take a look at it. They're putting in updates all the time.
Look here.
So let's see. So you got Buffalo and Denver on Saturday. So let's pick one of the Saturday games.
All right, let's start
just for the hell of it.
Let's see.
Buffalo, Denver, or Green Bay and Carolina.
Well, let's see.
I would say Buffalo, Denver is a little bit more of a.
So Buffalo is favored -6 in Mile High on a Saturday afternoon at 4:30. This is one of those games where I could see it being close. It's Mile High, the altitude. But in the end, I can't go against Denver. I'll take Denver -6 in this game. I just can't go as much as I would like to go against them because Denver.
Sleeper team. Denver.
I mean Buffalo -6.
Buffalo -6. Yeah.
As much as I want to pick Denver, I'm going Buffalo -6 in this one. They're just too good.
Yeah, right no, I think that they're rolling right now. And you can't bet against them. I understand. Denver it's a tough place to play, but they're a little banged up over there, and Allen could just do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's gonna, even if it snows, they're used to snow in Buffalo.
Exactly. And I think they're just playing loose football. They're playing good football. The defense is playing well. It's gonna be a tough matchup for Denver, even at home. So I'm going Buffalo -6.
Oh my goodness, I'm just looking at the Jets spread now.
It's not pretty, but we'll get to that.
We're gonna get to that one.
We'll get to that one. Let's
we kind of touched on the Kansas City and New Orleans, so I don't really want to touch on that. I said Kansas City is going to get a cruise by with that win. It's only a 3-point spread. I think that's easy. I don't think we should pick that as one of the games. I guess New England Miami is
that's an interesting game.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. It's in Miami -1. Miami is down about 3 wide receivers. 3 pass catchers with 2 wide receivers and their tight end Gesicki. So they are a little, hobbled there, and Tua will be the starter. But that defense, that defense is definitely scrappy, and they keep getting those interceptions.
Yep.
They did have the Chiefs on their heels for a minute there last week.
Yeah.
And New England, I just don't know what to make of them. And I know it's a divisional game, and Belichick knows how to work it on those divisional games, but Miami has way too much to play for to let this one slip by their fingers. And I think that motivation alone is going to get them over the hump. And that defense, obviously, probably picking off Cam Newton, because look what the Rams just did.
Yeah.
Against the Patriots, who had a 45-0 game against the Chargers 4 days prior. And then they made them look like the Jets. So I want to I'm taking Miami at the -1 there.
So here's the thing: Tua's a rookie quarterback in the league. Belichick feasts on rookie quarterbacks.
Of course,
this game is in Miami. I don't know. I like New England +1 here. I really do.
Yeah,
just because Tua's still a rookie. I mean, and there's some tape out there already, and I just feel like Belichick is going to come up with something defensively to keep him in check. Now, Miami's defense is great. Cam needs to come up with a better performance. He can't do what he did last week, and just crap the bed. But I think that
no, Lamar did that.
Oh yeah, well, he crapped his locker room, but yeah. But I think I like New England +1 in Miami to win this game.
Okay.
I mean, to cover. I like it +1 to cover, but I also
that's why Vegas put it at a pick 'em, right?
That's why it's a pick 'em, because they can't trust trust Miami.
So there you go.
Game
obviously we have
3.
We have to pick one that's got some kind of playoff implications on it.
Seattle,
at
Washington.
That's what I was looking at too.
Seattle is favored -5.5. 1:00 at FedEx Field. Mike, take it away.
Do we know who's quarterbacking for Washington yet?
I don't think we have any word on that yet. Hold on. Let me check real quick. The Washington Redskins, because that's a big deal if Alex Smith is going to play or not.
Football team.
And I mean, look, if there were I would caution on player safety. I would not let him go back in the game if his if his leg is really that hurt.
Alex Smith and Antonio Gibson don't practice. Could miss Washington.
That's not good.
So it's
Dwayne
looking
Haskins.
like Dwayne Haskins. And if it is indeed Dwayne Haskins, I have to take the Seahawks to win this game. If Alex Smith were to have played this game, but watch out, people, because they're playing in Washington.
Yeah.
And that's where quarterbacks break their legs. So knock on wood that it doesn't happen, but
we got to keep an eye out for leg injuries.
It looks a little dicey for Russell Wilson on Sunday.
Here's the thing: Dwayne Haskins is gonna. I think Dwayne Haskins is gonna play on Sunday. That being said, that defense is for real.
Defense it's gonna make it very challenging for Russell. Russell's also he might be given a couple short fields because of Haskins. I mean, as atrocious as that Seattle defense is,
right?
Still Dwayne Haskins,
exactly. So I think the fact that it's going to be Dwayne Haskins under center. I think their defense is going to play great, but I think it's Dwayne Haskins under center. It's Russell Wilson. It's going to be close. It's going to be competitive, but I like the Seahawks to win this game. I like them to win the game.
5.5, yeah.
I don't know that they cover though.
You don't think so, huh?
No, I think Washington.
Okay. It keeps it close.
Washington plus 5.5 on that one.
I think Russell Wilson's going to get sacked a couple of times.
Yeah, I think Chase Young's going to get a couple of sacks. They might even get a couple of turnovers. But I think at the end of the day, Seattle will pull out the win. I don't think they cover, but they win.
I don't think Russell Wilson's going to have an MVP type of a game.
No,
I think maybe a touchdown,
mm-hmm.
and then maybe one on the ground, by the running backs or something like that.
Yeah,
and maybe like a defensive touchdown because that could happen.
Yeah.
All right. So that was three. So
that was three. Now the two locals.
I think which one are we going to go to first?
I think we start Cleveland at the Giants. Cleveland is favored -5 at the Giants. I will go ahead and take the Giants +5 and to win the game.
The Giants +5.
I think the Giants pull off the upset. That is my upset special right there.
After what you saw last week?
After what I saw last week, I just think I think Cleveland's going to come in and have a letdown game. I really do. I don't know why I just feel that way. I just think the Giant defense is they're going to show some pride. Daniel Jones got to hold on to the ball. Am I a little concerned about the Cleveland Brown defensive line? Yes, but I just have this funny feeling that the Giants are going to pull the upset. I don't, I just don't see the Giants are open. Now Colt McCoy's playing. Now this is a big game for Colt McCoy. And remember, the Giants are still in a playoff hunt. So that's another thing. So I think Colt McCoy, they're going to control the clock. They're going to rely on Gallman to run the ball. But I think the Giants are going to pull off the upset, and I'll take them +5 on this one. My upset of the week, Giants over the Browns.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I think Daniel Jones looks hobbled, and Baker Mayfield has been playing well. I think
he's going to give him a pick.
One pick, yeah, but Chubb, Hunt, come on. I mean, they got a lot of weapons over there.
That Giant defense is underrated, man. They got a good front seven. They got a good defensive line. Is Blake Martinez is playing, right? He'll play.
Yeah, I know. I understand what the Giants that the Giants defense has been doing, but the Ravens, the Ravens were a very good defense. For the majority of this year. I mean, they had a couple of injuries that helped them, but they gave up 42 points to the Browns.
Right.
I'm not. I mean it's not like they're a scrub of a defense. So giving up 21 to 28 points to the Browns is definitely a possibility. And can the Giants sit there and score that much with a hobbled Daniel Jones?
I don't think he's going to play, man. If he's hurt, he can't play. I say start
Colt McCoy. Deal with Colt McCoy.
That I can live with that because Colt McCoy is a pro. He can manage a game. He's not going to do anything stupid out there, right? But if you put Daniel Jones on one leg out there and you know how he's prone to throwing picks and fumbling the ball, then But
they got in there and they were sacking Lamar Jackson. a few times.
And that's why you can't put Daniel Jones in this game. I think you got to go.
Of course, but I'm just saying, like, the Browns will get in there, and the Browns will try to neutralize anybody that's behind center. If they could do that to Lamar Jackson, behind the guy's quick on his feet. I mean, when he's not turtling. I'm taking the Giants. I'm going Cleveland. Cleveland's going to win this game by at least a touchdown.
Okay. I'm taking the Giants in the upset, +5. Okay. And then our final game of the week, our beloved New York Jets are going to Los Angeles for a 4-5 start against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are favored. Are you ready for this, folks? -17.5. We can tell you right now the highlights. Mike, if you can do the honors for us, please.
Yes, preview of the highlights.
I love that thing. That's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. You can take it, bro.
The Jets are 10-1 on the money line. Like, Jesus. That's a big spread. But I mean, what the Rams do against the Patriots? They did what they win, like 35-3.
Yeah.
What was it? 35-3?
Yeah.
So it's like a 32-point victory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was against the Patriots, who can score some points
and are always prepared.
Every once in a while. But the Jets are going to SoFi. Even
24-3, the Rams beat.
Even the Jets last week had the 3 points against the Seahawks.
Yeah, their kicker missed 3 field goals.
Atrocious defense, might I add, for Seattle.
Sergio Castillo missed 3 field goals and got cut this week.
So yeah, I mean, 17.5 is a lot, but I'm still going to take the Rams.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is just the beginning of the end of Adam Gase. This thing is going to get ugly real fast. I think last week that team didn't want to play anymore.
Hey, maybe Adam Gase will just quit at halftime.
No, that guy, behind the scenes, man, right now he's like, I let the owner down. I came here to give a mission. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to save his ass. Like, he's trying to make people feel sorry for him and the owners feel sorry for him. Be like, you know what? We're going to draft Trevor Lawrence if we get the first pick. Let's give him a shot. And that's my concern. And Matt was talking about this. That's the concern, right? That Adam Gase finds a way to convince this ownership that, look, I let you down. Let me make it up to you. COVID, bad year, Sam Darnold. I get Trevor Lawrence. I get another couple of weapons. I can turn this thing around, and they keep this dunce for another year. That cannot happen. He needs to go. Should have gone 6 weeks ago, but I think they're just going to ride this out. But that's my concern. But as far as this game goes, I think it's going to be just like last week. It'll be like 40-3 or whatever it is. They can bring in 5 new kickers. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be ugly. Sam Darnold just looks completely lost out there. And it'll be over by halftime. By halftime, you and I are going to be texting each other. It'll be over.
Yeah. Halftime. Halftime.
Right. Middle of the second quarter.
Halftime?
Yeah.
No, not halftime. I mean, I would say 14:59 in the first.
Jesus, right off the opening kickoff. God, if they run back a touchdown, oh my God, dude. And listen, you know this.
No, they're not going to run back a touchdown.
No, I'm saying if they give up if the Rams run a touchdown back.
No, the Jets are going to get the ball first.
Okay.
And then they're going to throw a pick 6.
Oh, don't say, come on. Jeez. Talk about ruining a Sunday before Christmas. My God.
Dude, am I surprising you with anything?
No, I mean, not at all. But I'm just saying.
Stop me if I'm wrong here.
Like, it would be like, here are the horrific starts, right? The Jets kick the ball off. The Rams run it back for a touchdown. The Jets get the ball, throw a pick 6 for a touchdown, or fumble the ball for a touchdown. Or they kick off, and then the defense, and like the first play of the game, they give up a bomb for a touchdown. Like, those are all the horrific starts.
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say it right now. The Jets have had 6 straight games where they scored on the opening drive. That is not happening in this game.
No.
And they are not going to keep that streak alive. No way, no how are they. The Rams are looking hot on defense right now. I mean, they shut down Kyler for the most part. They obliterated the Patriots. I think that the Rams are really going to put a number on them.
Yeah. I think Aaron Donald's going to have like 3 sacks. It's going to get that ugly.
Yeah. So that said, that is
that's
those
a
are our
wrap
picks for the week for week 15. We are going to be taking a couple of weeks off before returning on January 5th, 2021 for season 2. So in the meantime, there's going to be a couple of weeks of NFL football with some playoff implications. So, let's just take a look and see who we like to get into the playoffs with the people that are, inside or outside looking in. So right now, as it stands, it's Chiefs Steelers. Obviously, they're locked in. Bills are leading in the AFC East. Titans are leading. Browns are in the first wild card, and you got the Colts and the Dolphins. And coming up the rear is the Raiders, the Ravens, the Raiders, and then even the Patriots are in the hunt there. I don't see the Raiders making it in, especially with Mariota still quarterbacking here.
Yep.
So I think that the Raiders' chances are quickly diminishing by the minute. So yet another collapse 2 years in a row. I think the Ravens have a shot in making it into the playoffs, though. I thought that their path, their remaining schedule, I think favors them.
Mm-hmm.
You think the Patriots could beat the Dolphins this week, so that's definitely going to hurt their chances right there. And the Browns, the Browns are going to keep a playoff spot. So it's looking like the AFC North is going to have 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to make the Steelers. I like the Bills. Titans are going in. The Browns will be one of the teams. I think the Colts will go in.
Yeah,
I think the Ravens are going to jump over the Dolphins and take that final spot.
Okay.
That's my belief.
So we're in agreement there. You think the Chiefs end up in the number 1 seed?
I think they do. Yeah, Pittsburgh's kind of the wheels starting to come off that a little bit. And I think I just think Kansas City's bored. But once they get in, they'll turn it on and head back to another Super Bowl. Right. On the NFC side, I'll start with this. We have the Packers clinching. We have the Saints clinching as well. The Rams. We got the Washington football team at 6-7. The Seahawks are at 9-4. The Bucks at 8-5. And then the 3 teams that are closest, you got the Cardinals at 7-6. The Vikings at 6-7. And then the Bears at 6-7 with an outside shot. So I will go out and say the Packers are going to take the number 1 seed because the Saints are just too beat up.
Yeah.
I could see the Rams jumping the Saints. I mean, the way they're playing right now.
Did they play this year, the Rams and the Saints?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Well, I think the Saints lose this game and the Rams win theirs. So
yeah. I see the Rams being the 2 seed, to be honest with you. I see the Rams being the 2 seed.
Okay.
I see the Saints being the 3. The Washington football team is the best team in the NFC East, so I think they're going to get a home playoff game. They'll win that. I think they'll be the 4 seed, obviously. I think Seattle holds on.
Yeah.
And I think the way it's shaping up right now, Tampa and Arizona, I think they got it about right. I think those are the 7 teams that are going to go. I don't see the Vikings making a run. I don't see the Bears making a run. So that's it's just I just think the Rams and the Saints that'll be decided in the next couple of weeks. And if the Washington football team kind of falls apart, but I don't see that happening.
Wow. Look at this playoff picture. You got the NFC, at least what I'm looking at. It's like you got 5 more teams or 4 more teams that are in the hunt in the NFC than in the AFC, because all the horrible teams, for the most part, are all mathematically eliminated.
Correct.
In the AFC, with the exception of the Falcons. That is pathetic. And right at the top of that list, eliminated, number 1, New York Jets.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
Wonderful. Anyway, so thank you everyone out there for a wonderful season 1, and we cannot wait to you come back after our little hiatus, couple week hiatus, to bring season 2 to you on January 5th, 2021. Until then, everyone, please have a very happy holidays and a happy and healthy new year. And 2021 is going to be a better one.
Yeah,
All
folks.
right.
Happy holidays. 2021 is the Roaring 20s are going to come back. We're going to have a great year. The season 2 is going to be great. We're going to change it up a little bit, have some great guests. Hopefully be able to be on location next year. That'll be fun too. But in the meantime, stay safe, have a happy holidays, and we will see you all January 5th, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. live, episode 45, season 2 of the Fan Experience podcast.
Have a good night, everybody, and have a good new year.
Yeah.
Do you want to meet other sports enthusiasts like yourself? Playing the field can help you connect with people who love sports as much as you do. For friendship or romance. You can showcase up to 5 of your favorite teams on your profile trading card to make it easier to find fellow sports fans. Now you can talk about sports, go to the games, or play sports with others who share your interests. Find out more at Play the Field.